I guess you guys have seen some of you might have seen the description that Himadri and his team put. So, yeah, hi everyone. I'm going to start again. I was not really live. My name is Swapnil Hirani, and I am a fellow GEC Bhavnagar graduate and alumni. I graduated in 2014 from production engineering, and I worked after that in Bhavnagar for one more year. And since 2015, I've moved to Canada. I studied here in industrial engineering. I completed my master's in industrial engineering in 2017. And since completing my master's, I've been working in Canada. So, talking a little bit more about my work experience. As soon as I graduated, I started applying for jobs, and I got a job in a couple of months, and I started working as a production planner in an aerospace company called Safran Aerospace. It's the third largest aerospace company in the world with almost over 90,000 people. So I worked there for almost 2 years, a little more over 2 years. And my main job description was change management planner. So I was dealing with all the parts impact or production impact or scheduling impact related to the changes in designs in the aircraft. So at Safran Aerospace, we're basically working with making interiors of the aircraft of Airbus A350s and Global 7500 and 6500 for Bombardier's business jet program. So during those 2 years, I learned a lot coordinating with different departments involved. So with production, with our customers, that was Airbus and Bombardier, discussing the changes because there were a lot of changes because the clients, they're paying millions of dollars. So they keep changing their mind all the time. And we were basically, what I was doing was I was studying the impact of every change. What kind of new parts are we going to need? How much is going to be the lead time of those parts, for example, what kind of production impact it's going to have, what kind of scheduling impact it's going to have. So coordinating that with production, etc., etc. After those 2 years, pretty much December 2019, I changed my job because it's very important to get some Canadian experience or US experience when you are moving to North America. Even if you have some Indian experience, it's not going to work out that well. So the first job is always very important to get into. So after getting that 2 years of valuable experience, I changed my job and now I'm working as a master scheduler. So basically still doing the same things, but now I'm responsible for a much larger prospect. Now I am responsible for scheduling field visits for our technicians that are based across North America. And right now I work for an HVAC company. So basically what we do is building maintenance, dehumidifications, air conditioning and control for big stadiums or all the fitness chains or gyms and swimming pools on these fitness chains, and maintaining the temperature a little bit better and humidity inside. It's much more precarious here in North America because of, especially in Canada, because we have like snow 6 months a year. So maintaining the temperature inside along with a good humidity across the 12 months is very, very important, not only for the health of people, but also the health of building. So yeah, that's pretty much about myself. And I'm going to start talking about my journey at GEC Bhavnagar from 2010 to 2014. So I basically joined in 2010, and there are a lot of mistakes that I made, and that's why I wanted to come on one of these sessions and talk about it, like how you guys can utilize your time better during those 4 years. Because I only realized these things once I was here. So once I started my master's here in engineering, industrial engineering, basically, analytically, Indian students or all the Indian students, analytically, we are very good going through the coursework or practicing more examples or whatever it may be. What was a big significant difference, I would say, between us and students that did graduation from Canada itself was the practical side of things, right? We don't get to learn a lot that in the GTU, like different softwares that are used in the real world, in the industries, different tools that are going to be useful for you in the future when you go to the job market. So there is a big difference, right? Once you are in school and once you go out looking for a job, there is a big difference. You don't know if you are not sure if you're going to be able to do the job. Are you qualified to do the job, etc., etc., because of a lot of factors, right? So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that first of all, and then I'll talk a little bit about GATE, because I prepared for GATE and my first aim was to do masters in India, and how that didn't work out and I ended up in Canada. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll talk about applications and how can you apply for various differences between applying in US or Canada. What can you do based on what direction you really want to go. So yeah, and one more thing, if anyone has any questions, I know we'll have some minutes at the end to answer those questions for sure, but you guys can ask questions if it's related during or at the time of me speaking. I'll be happy to answer those questions at that time as well. And yeah, so I basically started my bachelor's in Bhavnagar in 2010, and much like most of us, right? I mean, at that time in 2010, it was everyone wanted to go into mechanical engineering, right? And luckily I didn't do that well in the 12th, so I took production engineering, which I'm really happy about right now. But yeah, I mean, you call it going through the wave, right? We don't really know until we have finished our 12th, and we just go through the wave. Right now everybody's going with computers, IT. Before that it was mechanical, civil, and before that it was EC, electronics, a lot of other things. So my brother is also a mechanical engineer for me, so I never really thought what I wanted to do after 12th. So I said, okay, I'll do mechanical as well, and luckily I didn't score enough in 12th, so I was not going to get into mechanical in a good college or a good university. So I went with production, and yeah, it's so until the first year or second year, I would say, like, first year is common, of course, all the subjects are same. First and second semester, it's common courses. And I made a lot of mistakes, basically. Like, once you come to school, like once you come to college, you're like, you are free, you're away from home. I'm basically from Surendranagar. So I came to Bhavnagar, like I was away from home for the first time. So it's a different lifestyle, and you get kind of sucked into it because nobody's watching over you. And I માંડ શું 12th માંથી free થયા હોય ને, એટલે ભલે 12th માં કઈ કર્યું ન હોય, પણ yeah. So basically first year was pretty much it, because I studied in English medium throughout my schooling as well. So it was relatively easier for me during the first year. Gujarati students, it's a lot more tougher. You guys work a lot harder than what we have to, basically, because it's a big difference jumping from Gujarati to English as a medium of your study directly, right? So it's very challenging. I totally understand that, but I mean, kudos to you guys. I've seen a lot of my friends who work like really hard during this first 2 years just to get ready and be able to write better in the exams, or etc., etc. So I basically did the same thing without like doing much first or second semester. I got like 6.8 or something like that in the first year or something, both the semesters. And third semester is where everything really changed for me, right? I mean, a lot of people, I've seen a few sessions in the back, a lot of people, I saw someone ask a very good question, like, we always talk about people who have succeeded after, like, in school or after school. Why don't we talk about people who are a failure, right? So I myself was a failure. I still consider myself as a failure. So in third semester, I didn't really attend any lectures, and we had a very, very strict principal at that time. So his rule was, if you come into college, you're not allowed to sit outside, basically, and you are either in your class or you are outside the college. So in the third semester, basically, I didn't attend any lectures, and I flunked Maths 3 at the end of the third semester. So I can understand a lot of where you guys come from. I know a lot of us have or might have got at least 1 KT or maybe even more. So there's nothing to be ashamed about, or there's nothing to feel sorry about yourself or anything as such if you get like a KT or something. But it's what's important is how you react after that, right? So that's what I feel was very important for me. So once I got my result for the Maths 3, But frankly, I don't even remember why I waited for result, because as soon as I gave the exam, I knew I was not I was not gonna pass for sure. So in the third semester, I didn't attend any lecture, like zero lecture across the whole semester. Sat in the midterms, luckily passed, and then in the finals, I got a KT in Maths 3. So basically, the day I got my results for third semester is when I decided to change. Like, I knew that my father doesn't have a big business that even if I don't pass out my engineering well enough, I'm gonna go and sit in my father's business. Or even if he has whatever he has, he's not gonna welcome me. So I knew I had to do something for myself and by myself. So that is basically when I decided to change a little bit. My friends changed a little. So it's not like I shifted totally. I was playing cricket for the college. I know you saw our session, so we're playing cricket together as well. I was basketball captain for a couple of years in the college as well. So I was still doing those things, but I decided to change my life in a way that I decided to start somewhere, because whenever you fail at something, you have to start somewhere. And that's the first part, and that's the most difficult part. So I decided to start by attending lectures. I was like, that's the least I could do, because I didn't attend any lecture during the third semester. So the least I could do was to start attending lectures and learn a little bit more, like what was going on in the class. So that's the first thing that I did in fourth semester. And my friends changed basically a little bit. So my best friends, from the guys being that were, I'm not saying they were bad, but they were not attending lectures. They were just like me. It went from being there to my best friends became the guys who never missed a lecture. And I started hanging out more with them, etc. So that's where I saw a change after that. So fourth semester, I cleared my Maths 3. I got a little bit more of a result, and basically I started studying a little bit more, because everyone, like you guys all have to find your own motivation. At the end of the day, we are all different, and what worked for me might not work for you guys. Or everyone is different, everyone is going through different circumstances, right? So the most important thing is to find your own motivation, I would say. And once you go back, I went back, I studied well, I did well at the university level. I was first in the university with the CGPA for the last 4 semester in production only. We don't have that many students in production, I know, but still. And last year I got a 9.7 or something aggregate. And yeah, I did really do well after that. I'm not saying that results are going to impact that much, but results do help to your confidence, of course, and to get in a room for the interview. And that being said, it's very important during the 4 years that you develop your CV, not just with results, but everything other than results as well. Maybe different co-curricular activities, volunteering for different organizations, etc. Or if you are in computer, software, IT, I know a lot of people have talked about it. I saw a lot of sessions, as many as I could, in the last couple of days. And I saw a lot of computer and IT students talking about you going to different hackathons or doing different programming languages, because these are the things that would really help you after, not only to get a job or to get in an interview, but for your own good, right? For your own confidence. When you get into that interview room, once you have secured an interview, you will be confident with yourself more than anything else. Like, okay, I don't care, I know something. Because the big difference between what GTU teaches us and what's expected of us, there's a big difference there. That what's expected of us in the real life and what GTU teaches us. Basically, we are more into analytical stuff. There's not enough practical. But that being said, it's up to us, right? We have 4 years in our hand. Even if there are guys who are right now in the third year or fourth year, for hard branches, I'd say do as many courses as you can, right? I mean, there is a lot more material online than it used to be before. So I graduated in 2014, but right now we are in 2020, right? So there are a lot of free online education sites. I know it's not necessary you have all the answers right now that I want to go towards this particular field, but that's why you have 4 years of your undergrad, right? You can do like 10 different kinds of courses. If you are in production or industrial engineering, talking about yourself, you can do courses of Six Sigma and Green Belt in Six Sigma. You can do courses on planning. You can do courses on forecasting. You can do courses on scheduling. You can do courses on project management. So there are a lot of things that you could do, 10, 15 different kinds of courses. But that's why you have your bachelor's, so that in those 4 years, you develop a certain kind of expertise in one area, but you have knowledge of everything else. But you are pretty sure after your bachelor's which direction you want to go to. So I'd really emphasize a lot on during this 4 years, do as many as co-curricular activities as you can, do as many courses online as you can. There are a lot of things on YouTube. There are a lot of courses and online websites that are use this time of pandemic as well. There are a lot of universities, Harvard, MIT, etc. They're giving free online courses on their website. I mean, when are we going to get chance to study courses that an Harvard student is getting to study, right? So there are a lot of universities that are offering free online courses right now. So now is the time. There are other online websites as well, edX, Coursera, Udemy, etc., who are giving online courses year round. So while you are in school, I'd really suggest you to do and build a good CV, right? I mean, you need to show people why they need to hire you, basically, at the end of the day, if you're trying to work. And these courses would really help, not only to also to enhance your confidence and enhance your attitude once you're out in the real world. Especially for hard branch, I know it's very difficult to find a job right now in India. It's very competitive. It was brutally competitive in 2014 as well when I graduated, and it's gone a lot more difficult right now in 2020. And the only way it's gonna go more and more difficult for sure. And but yeah, that's the reality of things. So the only thing we can do is we need to try and stand out of the audience, if you mean what I if you know what I mean, right? So there are almost 250,000 engineers graduating from India, all over India, every year, and we have like 50,000 new engineering jobs a year at max, good ones. So there is a huge difference. So 1 in 5 is gonna find a good job, and there are a lot of good universities or whatever. So I'm just trying to get you familiar with the reality of things. So this 4 years, or whenever you start, even if you're in third year or fourth year, it's never too late. It's always easier to start today than to think about it tomorrow. So do as many courses as you can. If you don't have a particular area of vision that this is what I want to do, but that's why you have the time that you have right now to figure these things out. You can always do more courses, multiple courses in different directions. You don't have to know at the beginning of your engineering or at the end of engineering even that this is what I want to do. You still have a long road ahead. You still have a lot more opportunities in the future as well. So that's the main thing. I mean, there are a lot of helpful professors at the college as well, a lot of good faculties. You can always go and ask them for advice. I personally have felt that professors have gone out of their way to help me out when I was preparing for GATE or etc. I got materials from professor. I wasn't really sure where I was going to start studying. It's especially difficult for production engineering because the material is everywhere, right? I mean, there are no specific books for production engineering, even from GTU or anything else. So that's my advice to you while you are in school for the next maybe like 2 years, 3 years, or even if you are in the last year, like last few months. Try to do as much as you can. Use this time. We don't know when things are gonna go back to normal, when universities or colleges are gonna open, and this is gonna have a huge impact, of course, the pandemic in the job market. We would only know that in like a few months time, probably 6 months or a year down the line. We'll see the real economic implications of what's gonna happen with the pandemic. Even in North America, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of companies are struggling to survive, and that's going to happen in India as well, especially because we've been closed down almost 2 months now, and they just increased the lockdown. So I'm not sure until when it's going to be locked down, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're looking to do masters in India, of course you all know about GATE. So GATE is a really good exam. I mean, of course it's very competitive. It has gotten very competitive. From I did GATE and I applied for GATE in 2014, and I scored an all India rank of 146 in production engineering, but I still was not able to get an admission in an IIT or something, right? Because after you graduate from GATE, you are in the same pool as mechanical engineering. And there are a lot of smart people in mechanical engineering, and a lot of guys, they scored a lot more than what I did personally. So it became more difficult. But yeah, preparing for GATE, you can start at least a year in advance or a few months in advance. It doesn't really matter, but you have to be really smart when you start preparing for GATE. Because there are like 20 to 30 different courses that could have like one question or two question or 3 marks or 6 marks or different kind of weightages when it comes to GATE, right? So it's a 100-mark exam, of course. If some of you don't know, we have like 65 questions. 15 mark is general aptitude, which I think is scoreable. You can do like more than 10 or even 15 out of 15 if you're good, like both verbal and quantitative. You can score 15 out of 15. And aptitude and general aptitude and critical thinking or whatever, verbal reasoning, it's very common in all the government exams as well. I think I saw Arav's session and he talked about it really well. So if you are looking for GATE or even any other competitive exams, start early, start practicing the quantitative reasoning or something, even if you're in first year or second year, because this is going to help you somewhere down the line for sure. Not just even right now, I just started preparing for GMAT because I want to pursue MBA in the next few months. I want to I want to appear for GMAT, and maybe next year I'll start my MBA. So even in GMAT, I still have the same thing. You have quant, you have reasoning, you have critical thinking, you have essay writing, etc. So do that. There are a lot of good books. R.S. Agrawal is one that I know for sure. It's a good book. And other than that, you have 15 marks of maths as well. So if you're someone who's really good at math, you already have you already have 30 marks of reasoning and math covered. So getting to around 50, 60 marks in GATE becomes a lot easier if you have these things covered. And you have to be really smart about other courses as well, because a lot of the remaining 70 marks, probably around 50, 55 comes for your core field. Other 10 to 15 marks is from the first year, right? The general courses of mechanics of solid or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you have to be really selective and really, really smart about what you want to learn. You pick up the papers of the last few years, you define the weightage of which courses. Talking about industrial engineering in particular, like production and operations management, OR, etc., they're very, very important courses. You get up to 6, 7, or sometimes 8 marks from those courses. So if you do like productivity improvement, production and operations management, operations research, 4 or 5 courses like this, that's another 25, 30 marks for you. Like after that, if you have time, if you're really late, I started in the 7th semester. At the beginning of 7th semester, I started preparing for GATE. So if you are someone like me who started like really, really late, then of course you need to be more choosy than anything else. But if you have time and you've started really well and early in advance, you get to prepare more and you get to cover a lot more topics, of course. But it's the best thing for GATE is also attend lectures, clear your concepts. As many as lectures you attend and you clear your concepts are clear, you're going to clear GATE very, very easily. It's no rocket science, and it's not like you have to study really, really hard to clear GATE, but you have to study hard, of course, if you want to score good marks. And just clearing GATE for the sake of it, it's not worth it. It's not worth your time, or it's not going to make much of a difference. So of course, if you're planning to appear for GATE, please work hard. I did the same. I studied more in those last few months for GATE that I studied during the entire 4 years of my engineering, for sure. So please look at the breakdown of GATE when you start preparing. Decide accordingly, like how you want to prepare, and be smart about it. Like, I mean, you don't have to go through the entire 40, 45, 48 courses that we have in 4 years of engineering, right? So yeah, that's pretty much about GATE. So I cleared GATE in 2014, and so I'll talk first about why I started preparing for GATE, right? I mean, a lot of you are in a similar position. I was in 6 semesters. I did really well in the 6th semester. I got like over 9 or something. Yeah. But I wasn't really sure like if I was gonna find a job after eighth semester, because it was very brutally competitive back then, and it's even more competitive now with not many jobs on offer for hard branch. So I thought like at that time my thinking was, let me go and pursue the master so I don't have to deal with finding a job right now. I'll get 2 more years of time before I have to find a job. So that was my thinking why I started preparing for GATE, to be honest. Like I didn't want to go work at that particular point of time. So that's the main reason why I started preparing for GATE in seventh semester. I worked really hard for GATE for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's okay not to know at that time. And I did very well in GATE. I was sure I was not gonna get into IIT. I got an interview from IIT Roorkee, but it was in metallurgical, and I was not very good with chemistry and materials and compounds and etc. So I passed on that. I did get admission into COEP Pune, SVNIT, but I what I did was basically I went to some of the seniors that I got contact from our professors in college that did go to those schools, like talking about production and engineering, like Wagasia sir studied from COEP, if I'm not wrong. There were another few seniors at my time who did from SVNIT. So I went and talked to them. I got their phone numbers, and basically what happened was there was a struggle, right? If you're not studying from an IIT, or if you're not getting into PSUs or big companies after clearing GATE, it's still difficult, right? Even if you are in NITs to find a good job. So my focus shifted after that. So I was in two minds basically, whether I should prepare for GATE another year, like take a drop, go to Hyderabad or something in ACE engineering and start preparing for GATE, or do it at home or whatever. And the other option, which I didn't have at that time, was to come aboard for studies, right? And basically, I had my tickets booked for Hyderabad next year, classes to start working and preparing for GATE, because the only way I saw it was either to score really, really good marks in GATE and get into a very good IIT, or it wasn't worth it at all. So basically, at the very last moment, I skipped and I decided that I didn't want to go through GATE again, because I was kind of tired preparing for it the first time, and I wasn't ready, or I wasn't sure that I had it in me to do it for another 6-7 months until February, from July to February when the GATE exam is. So I decided against it, and I decided to come to Canada at that point, basically. So coming to Canada is a whole different story. I know someone talked about it already, like the procedures and etc. So basically, you have two options if you're planning to come to North America. There is US and there is Canada as well. And procedures are a little bit different for both. For applying in an engineering college or an engineering course of master's in US, you need to clear GRE, graduate record exam, and you need to give TOEFL or IELTS for English. And in Canada, you only need to give IELTS or TOEFL, because you don't need a GRE. You just need to prove that you're good enough in English to study in this country. So GRE is, I think GRE has two sections. I never appeared for GRE, but I did do a little bit research back then as well. So GRE, it consists of 340 marks. Again, it's the same thing. There is quantitative reasoning of 170 marks. There is verbal reasoning of 170 marks. Verbal is something that I've heard from a lot of people who appeared for GRE that they find it relatively more difficult to clear the verbal. Quantitative is comparatively easier for Indian students. I've seen a lot of people do really, really well in quant. And GRE, again, it's an automated exam, right? So no two people will have the same question sheet. It's online, so the difficulty of your exam would totally depend on what kind of answers you've provided. So if you start with a few correct answers, the questions that you get after that are going to get more and more difficult. But it's good. If you're getting more difficult questions, that means you're definitely doing well in the exam. And if you have a few wrong questions at the very beginning, the exam will automatically change it and see that you're not at that level, so they will give you more easier questions so that you can go gradually. So that's what GRE is. To get into good university in the United States, you will need, out of 340, I'll say more than 300 for sure. In a very good university, you will need over 330 or even 320, but it's percentile, right? So usually you don't get below 140, I think, or 130, I think, because the questions keep getting easier and they don't want to put you under a very low score as well. And other than GRE, you also have to appear for IELTS or TOEFL. I don't know much about TOEFL, to be honest, because I never appeared for TOEFL. I did go for IELTS because I wanted to come to Canada, because the tuition and cost of studies in Canada is cheaper comparatively to United States. So like US dollar right now is around 75, 76 Indian rupee, and Canadian dollar is around 50 to 55. So even if both the universities have same fees, you still end up paying like almost 33% less amount of money when you come to Canada. So where you want to go in US or Canada, it totally depends, up to you. Like, what are your goals in the future? The job market is very, very similar. A lot of big companies, a lot of big IT companies also are moving from US to Canada. Like, a lot of companies have branches both in US and Canada. So job wise, it's not a big difference. Salary wise, there is. You get paid a little more when you graduate from United States. So salary, if your sole implication is to earn money, US is your best bet, I would say, because you get paid a lot more salary. The taxes are lower. Buying a house is cheaper comparatively in United States. In Canada, on the other hand, salary is good, but it's not the same when you compare it to United States. You end up paying a lot of taxes, around 30 to 33%, depending on your salary, of course. And yeah, but the standard of living is better. I mean, I personally find it a little more safer than United States, and there are a lot of immigrants in Canada, so it's more susceptible. There is less racism. I'm not calling United States bad by any means, but it's my particular opinion and why I chose Canada. And the most important reason why I chose Canada was you're easier to receive a permanent residency quicker. So that was one of my goals when I came to Canada. Like, once I get a permanent residency, I'm free. Like, then I can go and study in US if I have to do an MBA, or I can go to Europe or work anywhere that I want now that I have a residency. And in US, it's difficult because after you complete your studies in United States, you get a work permit. I think it's around 6 months or something, but you need to find a job. That's the main thing in US, because your H-1B visa application, it totally depends on your employer. So basically, you need to find a company who's willing to sponsor you for the H-1B visa and basically let you stay in the United States, because other than finding a job, you're not going to be able to stay in United States for much longer legally. That's the thing with the United States. On the other hand, in Canada, once you complete your studies of 2 years, you get a 3-year work permit. And so until 3 years, you are a temporary resident in Canada. You can go to India anywhere. You can come back anytime. And so you get yourself a time of 3 years to get a permanent residency, to find a good job who's going to sponsor you in the future if you don't have the permanent residency by the time you finish your work permit, and etc. Level of studies in both the countries is pretty much the same. I don't find any difference. Depends on the university as well where you are going to study. There are a lot of good universities in US, and they're very costly, of course, and there are a lot of good universities in Canada as well. So to prepare for IELTS basically has 4 sections: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So reading, listening, and writing, they are on the same day of the test. So it's around 3 hours to do those 3. And speaking is on a different day most of the times. It's a smaller exam. It's like 10 to 15 minutes. You get a chance to do your introduction for a minute or two, and then you're given a topic on the spot. So on the topic you speak for like 2 minutes, and then you get answers. Like they ask you questions based on what you said. So it's very simple. It's like a conversation. You're talking to the person, and there is no right or wrong answer. They're just seeing how you format your sentence or how you speak to them, and that's pretty much it. You can have your own opinion about anything, so there's no right or wrong, but it's just about the way you talk to them and the way you speak your English or whatever. Reading, listening, writing. Particularly, I've seen people, most of the people struggle in IELTS. It's because it's in writing and in speaking. I find people, I've seen a lot of people who find it very difficult, the writing and speaking section. Reading and listening, a lot of people are able to do well, to be honest. And the best way to prepare for IELTS, I would say online, there's a lot of resources. Even if you, so you can register for exam in either British Council or IDP. And once you've registered for the exam, you can, like you apply for exam in both British Council or IDP, you can apply for any one of them. So you get a book at your home, which has around 7 or 8 practice tests. So that is there. And other than that, there is a lot of material online, to be honest, on the IELTS website, on IELTSmith.com. There are a lot of channels on YouTube who will explain what kind of mistakes they see in IELTS, how to do better in IELTS, etc. So it's really not difficult to score well in IELTS. If you want to study anywhere in US, you will need over 6.5. So 6.5 as minimum right now that you will need to score. And if you want to get admission in a really good university, you will need 7, or in some universities even 7.5. I did get a 7.5, but I got admission in the University of Toronto as well, but they still asked me, because I had in one of the sections I had less than 7. They asked me to do an additional course which cost a lot of money, so I didn't want to do that. So it's very important that you do well in the IELTS, because IELTS will help you not only secure your admission, but it will also help you to avoid any extra charges or to having to come here and then study basic English, for example, for like 10,000 extra dollars in your fees. So that's that. Application is very simple. There are a lot of good consultants, and you don't really need a consultant as well. You can apply online as well, because a lot of consultants will always ask you to apply for colleges, because they make a lot of commission in applying for colleges when you come to Canada, especially. But I'd suggest apply for universities, because universities not only helps build your curriculum, like CV, curriculum vitae, but also helps you get more points when you're applying for the permanent residency in the future, etc. Because in the colleges you go and do a graduate diploma, which is not going to help you that much unless you find a good job after that and have good experience and then apply for PR. On the other hand, once you are out of university, in some cases, if you have some experience in India, you're eligible to apply for PR directly, like I did. So that's pretty much it. I'll talk a little bit more about life in Canada and how you can manage different things once you're in Canada or the US. It's pretty much the same, because you have a lot of things to manage once you're here. You have school, you will have a part-time job, you will be cooking by yourself, you'll be cleaning by yourself, the utensils and everything. So yeah, there are a lot of things, and time management becomes really, really important after that. But it helps you manage your time much better. It's a lot of hard work. So if people are saying that life is sad once you go to Canada or US, it's not that simple, because you end up working a lot more harder. You have jobs at different times, like you work night shifts, and the next day you're in the college and you have submission deadline at 12, so you are again in the library. Libraries are open 24 hours here. So yeah, it's different challenge than when you're in India, but everything is challenging, right? I mean, it's because of the jobs, or because not many jobs are being created every year in the amount of what graduates we have across the world. I mean, it's going to get more and more challenging, of course. I'll talk you a little bit more about building your CV as well. Even if you're in India or Canada, this is general. A lot of big companies right now, they use what's called an ATS. It's an automated software. It's called application tracking system. So when you apply for a big company, you might see that you don't get a response most of the times. Like out of the 10 jobs that you apply, you might just get a reply on one. Otherwise, it's always the same message that your qualifications doesn't match, blah blah blah, etc. So application tracking system is what most of the companies are using right now. There are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to build a CV. So you can use this, you can see this ATS, how it works, etc. So it's very simple, but you have to keep your resume very simple as well. And it's very important that you don't have one general CV, because if you have a general CV applying for different job positions or different titles, it's not going to be that easy, because application tracking system, what it does is basically scans your resume. Because if it's a big company in India, for example, for one position they're going to have thousands of applications, and they don't have time or resources, for example, to go through all those. And it doesn't make sense, right, to go through 1,000 different resumes for one position. So most of the companies, they use an ATS. It's called an application tracking system. And basically what it does is it scans your CV and it looks at the keywords that you have used inside your CV. So there are a lot of videos on YouTube, and if you need any other advice on that, I can, or any other things for matter, I think my LinkedIn was already shared. I'm also there on Facebook or Instagram, but it's better that you guys get in the habit of using LinkedIn. So I'd prefer if you contact me via LinkedIn if you have any questions. And yeah, the LinkedIn and career CV, they're very important. They're going to help you get through the ATS scanner, because it happens a lot of times that you are a good candidate, you have everything that's needed for the job, you're able to clear the interview as well, but it's just that you're not able to get through the first hurdle, that is this automated system in ATS. So it's very important. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that will show you like how you're applying for a particular job title. You use those keywords multiple times inside your CV. So when an automated system is using, it's about making the automated system understand that you are a good fit for the job, that you use those keywords in different places across your CV. So that is what an ATS basically does. And that's pretty much what I want to talk to you about today. So if anyone has any other questions, I'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn while if anyone has a question, and they can type by the way. So LinkedIn is equally important as well. A lot of companies are posting jobs on LinkedIn, especially here in North America. I'm pretty sure they do it in India as well. So in my personal experience, what I found was it's always good to connect with the HR or someone else from the company, or the job poster, for example, on LinkedIn. So basically what you need to do is you try to build a rapport, right? The first job that I got in Canada was not because I applied for the job. I applied for the job in July, but I was constantly in touch with HR. I built a good relationship with him. And in November, when the same position came up, and I didn't even know, he contacted me by himself. He said, "Hey, this position has came up. Do you want to apply?" So always try to put a personal touch, because the person on the other side, the HR or whoever it is, he or she is also a person, right? So try to build a relationship, a rapport with him. Message him, of course, formally on LinkedIn that, "Hi, I looked at this job. I'm very interested. This is my CV. Please take a look at it. I'd like to hear more." And if they don't select you, it's okay. You can always ask for their advice or their recommendation, like what went wrong, or why were you not selected? Was someone better suited for the job, or were you not able to express yourself better in your CV? Because CV is the main thing that's going to get you through the door, right? If you're not able to express yourself inside the CV or on your LinkedIn page, it's your mistake. If you don't do well in an interview, or if you don't get a job after that, that's another thing. Maybe someone else is well qualified for the job. Then you work on your qualification, or then you work for getting yourself better suited for the job, right? But not getting through the door, it's just laziness, right? I mean, anyone can go online right now and see these tools that are available for free, build a good CV, build a good reputation with the HRs, with the company people, get in touch with them, and always be polite, right? Even if you don't get a job or don't get through, because you wouldn't know when it comes back. For me, for example, I applied in July, like I told you, for a job of production planning. And I went, I gave an interview. It went really, really well. I got positive feedback. And by the time I was expecting a call for a job at the end of July, or I think it was beginning of August, the company had hiring freeze for some reason, because aerospace, it's always up and down and it's not constant. So the company had hiring freeze, and basically they canceled the position at that time. So I started working somewhere else, and I applied for another job. And I was not looking to apply in the same company because I was not looking at the website basically. But I was in touch with this guy. I finished talking to him in August on a good rapport, and he told to me, okay, if something comes up in the future, I'll get in touch with you for sure. And in November, out of the blue, I didn't even apply for the job, and he said, the same position has come up on a different plant. Are you still interested? And I said, yes, why not? And he said, forward me your updated resume and I'll set up the interview. And this is how I landed my first job basically. So don't underestimate the power of relationships that you can build or leverage using LinkedIn or other tools. It is very, very important. You might not even be the best qualified or suitable candidate for a job. There might be someone who's better suited to do the job than me, but those little things, they help, right? I'm going to start taking questions now. Jay Mehta, what are the good colleges at Canada after completing production engineering? Hi Jay. So yeah, I'd suggest apply universities. So if you get in IELTS 6.5 or over, if you get 7, it's very, very good. You'll be able to get into many good universities. And yeah, you can apply in universities. That's my first preference. There are a lot of students right now from GEC and other areas in Bhavnagar who are studying here. Uh, University of Concordia is good. University of Windsor is good. So Concordia is again in Quebec. It's a French-speaking province or state, as we call it in India. I studied from Concordia myself. I studied French along with my studies, so I can speak French at an intermediate level, because in my state where I work right now, French is really, really important. So Concordia, Windsor, they are like good universities, average universities. You can get admission in them. There are other good, very good universities, like there is UBC, University of British Columbia, University of Toronto. They're like top elite level universities. You might need a 7.5 in IELTS to get through, and a very good GPA along with some volunteering experience, etc. But yeah, there are good colleges as well. There are a lot of good colleges in Ontario that are doing courses in supply chain, etc. There is Centennial, there is Humber College, who has a very good course in project management, and there is Conestoga. There are a lot of there are a lot of colleges, but I'd suggest apply for universities if you're able to. There is not a big difference in fees. It's the same fees for colleges and universities. Go on their website, look at the fees, because a lot of agents in India would say universities cost more, or you don't get an admission, etc., etc., because they don't make enough money when you apply for a university. When you apply to a college, they make a good bit of commission, right? So they will not let you apply, but go to the university, go do your research and apply in the universities, I would say, because you'll get more points in PR as well after that. But if you want to know more about it, contact me on LinkedIn. I can definitely suggest something for you for sure. Can you talk about using LinkedIn efficiently? Yeah, so LinkedIn efficiently, it's very important to show everything that you've done on LinkedIn, from your college to all your projects that you've done, any special accomplishments, no matter how small. If you consider it an accomplishment, put it there. Any extra co-curricular activities like participate in hackathon, scan your certificates, put it on LinkedIn, and always keep it professional. It's not your Facebook profile, so you don't need to tell in the LinkedIn profile that I'm interested in playing cricket or I'm interested in listening to music. LinkedIn profile, keep it very professional. in the title itself, you can include the things that you are looking to work in. For example, if I'm talking about industrial engineering, you can put like project management, supply chain, lean manufacturing, those 2 or 3 things in the keyword. So whenever a recruiter is looking or searching by lean manufacturing, your profile shows up at the top. And then in the in the section below, you can always mention what you're good at, like what you have learned in your school. If you don't have any experience, or if you have something, you can mention it in your experiences, like what you have worked in the past. But yeah, there are a few videos on LinkedIn as well, to like, sorry, YouTube as well, to how to build a good LinkedIn profile. Can you talk about efficient way of job searching for production mechanical engineering students, like setting job filters? Yes. Of course, there are a lot of jobs being posted. Like I said, right? I mean, there's a lot more competition in India than it's here in North America. So if it's a good position, you can imagine thousands of people applying for that for sure. Because you're not only competing with people from your batch, you're competing people with from the batches before you as well, maybe 2-3 years, who wants to change their job. So the best way, apply for the jobs, but always, even if you apply for a job on naukri.com or any other website, right, try to go to LinkedIn, try to search for the HR or someone from that company, try to get in touch with them, send them your resume, try and build a relationship with them, because these things, they go a long way, and these things are going to keep you different from the crowd. So that is what I would suggest. LinkedIn is the best tool. If you have premium, you can send an email to anyone, even if they're not your contact. So yeah, it really helps. It has helped me a lot, LinkedIn, to be honest. What are some good technical communities for yeah, technical communities as well. So if you're in industrial engineering, I can talk more about industrial engineering. So if you're interested in supply chain, there is Apex, which is a worldwide organization in supply chain. You can do a little different kinds of certifications, etc. There are similar things in mechanical engineering as well. There are lots of groups on LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn is like a sea, right? I mean, you can use it in many different ways. So there are groups. If I'm talking about production and industry in particular, there are groups on people using SAP, for example. So even if you're not using SAP, you can go to those groups. I particularly, right now I'm not working on SAP, but I am still in those groups. I have a lot of material about SAP. If I want to start studying SAP, I have enough material that I can start tomorrow. So groups and leveraging those relationships again on LinkedIn is very important. It doesn't have to be just when you're applying for jobs. It can be someone who's senior, who's working in a field, or it's in a position where you want to be in 10 years time. So get onto LinkedIn. If it's someone who's from the same city, let's say for Ahmedabad, get in touch with them, meet them out for a coffee or a tea. Anything you can do to personalize a relationship so that that person is willing to help you in the future, it goes a long way. It goes a long way, and it is what matters once you get in the job as well. You will see more about it when you're out working in the job market, that how important it is to build relationships and etc. What advice you'll give to current students at GEC Bhavnagar? Yeah, current students, please use your time wisely while you're in school. We didn't do that. I felt very disappointed. Once I came to the university in Canada, I did really well on marks side. Like I scored a lot of A's and etc. But there was a big difference between me and someone who studied here in Canada. They knew a lot more softwares. They were able to do simulation softwares in Arena. They were doing a lot better on projects and etc. So I found it was a big difference, because I didn't utilize those 4 years in my college very well, studying the practical side of things, or going that extra mile and studying those softwares that were going to help me in the future, simulation softwares or ERP softwares, or there can be many different things. But first thing you can start is doing MS Office. Like, try to master yourself in Excel and PowerPoint and etc., because these things are going to help you everywhere where you go. And the things that you can do with Excel is, it's limitless, right? I mean, you can start studying advanced Excel, VLOOKUPs, horizontal, or you can start using Excel for optimization, operation research as well. You can use Excel for simulation techniques as well. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things available on YouTube online where you can start. So I'd suggest use your time wisely for where you want to be in the future. Definitely, that's a start. Hi, Jay again. Jay, depends what you want to study, but I personally think, and I'm pretty sure, master's degree is much better than postgraduate diploma. Because in postgraduate diploma, what's going to happen is the course material or the topic what you're going to study is going to be very, very limited. And once you finish your postgraduate diploma, you're only going to be able to apply jobs in those things, for example. While when you study masters, the opportunities are limitless, right? I mean, you can apply to different positions, you can tweak your curriculum YT a different, because in masters you have like 10-11 courses, you do 10-11 projects, you have a project with every course. So you can tweak your resume different and you can apply for multiple job opportunities, because you are applying for lean manufacturing, you include those projects in your CV. You're applying for a supply chain, you include those jobs, like those projects that you did in the university in your CV. So you have more opportunities. So once you do postgraduate diploma, it's very, very limited. That's what I personally feel. You'll find a job, no doubt, but it becomes very limited, and you don't have more opportunities or more chances when you go forward. And of course, masters has more points when you apply for PR after you finish studies as well. So graduate diploma doesn't have that many points. HDB Baria. After BE, master degree or job? This depends, right? I mean, if you have done really well in BE, I mean, masters is not compulsory, right? I mean, this is a myth that I want to do masters. You don't have to do masters immediately after your BE. If you are well qualified and if you find a good job, of course, then you can start working and you can start preparing for GATE or any other masters that you want to do after 2 or 3 years of experience, because all the competitive exams, they have scores that are valid at least 2 years, I think, if I'm not wrong. Some have even 5 years. For example, GMAT, if you're planning to do an MBA, it is valid for 5 years. So I'm applying for GMAT right now, so in the next 2 or 3 years or next year, whenever I want to start, I'll do an MBA. But it's not compulsory. If you find a job and if you think it's the right job for you, you're going to learn a lot more in that job, go for it. I mean, you can always do masters later in 1 or 2 years. I know most of the people are going for masters now, but it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. If you find a good job and if you can see yourself in that field for the next few years, go for the job. Masters in India particularly, it helps if you're planning to go in teaching field. um, I think I saw Akash's session. He's also a professor. He did masters and he talked really well about it. Like if you're planning to go in teaching field, only then go for masters, because it's the same thing, right? I mean, after master's degree you find a job, or after bachelor's degree you find a job. So if your end motive is to find a good job, and if you're getting it after bachelor's, don't let it go for masters. Work for 1 or 2 years and you can always prepare for masters while you're working. It's more hard work, but it helps when you go to do masters after some job experience, especially in hard branch if you're from hard branch. Can you know about how hard branch students can find good internships in India? Okay, so right now, usually hard branch is what we call mechanical production, civil. Talking about our college, right? It's hard to get internships, but there are a lot of internship opportunities available. Some companies don't provide free internships anymore. Like, sorry, don't provide paid internships anymore. They want students to come and do it for free, etc. But of course, if you have enough resources and your living expense in a different city is not a problem, you can go for doing free internships as well. Applying for internships is a little, I'm not really sure about the current market, like how you can apply for internships. But in India, references help a lot. So to be honest, if you are in touch with someone from a couple of years ago in the same company, get in touch with them, because every company, they have different ways. Because a lot of companies, a lot of manufacturing or our hard branch companies, they're very small. They don't have resources or an HR department to post this internships or jobs online. That's the main problem, right? So knock on doors, get in touch with people, leverage your relationships. That's the main thing that I would suggest to find an internship as well, because almost 60-70% of these internships or beginner level jobs are not being posted online. So that's a statistic that I got from one of the article that I was reading, and I was really shocked. And this is after I graduated my master's degree. Like, they're saying that most of the jobs are not being posted. Is there any advice about how LinkedIn can be used for content? Yes, East Wind 6. So yeah, LinkedIn, it's very good. When I'd suggest you start working on LinkedIn, like create your profile whenever you're in college, doesn't matter you're in first year or second year, and just make a list of your accomplishment as soon as you go. Like, you go to an event. If you're from soft branch, you go to a hackathon, you get a certificate or something, put it on LinkedIn, get in touch. So LinkedIn is very good, right? You can search people who have studied in government engineering college Bhavnagar, ex alumni. If you want to go to a particular college, you can find people studying in that college or ex graduate from those college, and send them a request with a message, right? I mean, if you have premium, you can send a lot more messages. If you don't have premium, less messages. But I mean, build your network is what is really important, right? I mean, this network will help you in the future once you graduate. If you have a big network, to find a job, just post, I'm looking for a job in this field. After that, you have like 500 connections, and even if 10 people are willing to help you, they will, if they are not able to help you, they will guide you or take you in a particular direction or get in touch with you to the right person, right? So it's not like I have to create a LinkedIn once I graduate. You can create a LinkedIn first year, second year, put your accomplishment as you go, things that you do, things that interest you. You can always keep them changing if you want. And yeah, build a good network. There are a lot more networking events here as well. In North America, we have no placements after universities. So you are totally dependent on networking events. Companies come to networking events in the university, so you go and talk to the recruiters at their stand, and that's how you basically find a job most of the times. How important is it to work on their soft skills for engineering students? Yeah, it's very important to work on soft skills. Like I said before, right? I mean, you don't need to be the most qualified person for the job, but once you get in the interview, you need to be confident enough, because most of the companies know that they have to train you or get you started when you join a company. So they are looking, or they are willing to put that effort or put their investment in you. So the first 3 months or 6 months, companies are not expecting much from you. So soft skills are really important, and it goes a long way. There are a lot of professional development or other soft skills that you can go on YouTube and see, like things to do, things not to do in a corporate event or in a corporate environment, etc. And yeah, it really helps to build a good repo. And you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you need to carry yourself well. You need to be able to present yourself much better than anyone else. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to build professional relationships or even personal relationships sometimes, then yeah, it really goes a long way. I don't know if I've answered that question. Yeah. What is the difference when we have to deal with terms of fees? Jay, like I told, the fees, it's a myth when people say that masters cost more than postgraduate diploma. The fees are almost the same in most of the universities. You can take any postgraduate college that you're planning to apply on their website, go check the fees and check the corresponding master's fees as well. If you are planning to study in Quebec, where I studied, the master's fees are even lower than some of the colleges that have fees in Ontario. So fees is not that big a difference. What is the difference when we have to deal with expenditure? Expenditure will again depend, right? I mean, whether you study in postgraduate diploma or in masters, you still have to find a part-time job if you are gonna take your own expenses on your hand. So, but you can do jobs. Like it's a lot of people in India who have never been to Canada will say that, okay, there's a lot of these agents, they're like, masters is tough, you cannot go and work part-time, it's very difficult, it's this, it's that. But it's the same. In my opinion, the fees are same, the level of studies, masters, I think it's a little more, and you still have to find a part-time job wherever you go, right, to cover your expenses, unless you have enough money, your father, your parents have enough money in India, and you don't have to work when you're in Canada or US. That's a totally different story. But if you have to come here and you have to work, regardless of you are in postgraduate diploma colleges or in masters, you should be able to cover your expenses very easily. And you're allowed to work full time if you're taking a summer off or anything like that. Whenever you are not in school, you can work 40 hours. Otherwise, you are allowed to work 20 hours a week, but it's enough to cover your expenses. So don't worry about that if that's what's holding you back from applying for masters. Any thoughts on how we can improve placements for? Yeah, we have to get companies placements. I saw before a few companies coming to GC BVN a few years ago. I'm not sure what's the situation right now, but I think this is where the alumni or other people who are working right now in India should step up and get in touch. I Vagasya sir was the training and placement cell officer before when I was in college from Hard Branch, but the professors, they are trying on their side, sending emails, etc. But it's difficult, especially the market is difficult, but at the same time, I think all the alumni, this is a very good start, to be honest, Imadri, that we have this channel built or even a group built for alumni. Like more and more people are going to see this and more people are going to come to this platform. And in the future, of course, if we have more people who are working in India in hard branches, especially mechanical and production, they can always get in touch with our professors at the university and say, okay, we have like this many openings, can you send us some good candidates, or can we come there to interview some of the people? But yeah, I mean, this is a good beginning. I think professors are trying on their side, but it's difficult for them as well because they still need to contact, they still need to get approvals from their contact or their students itself who are working in the industries right now. So I think old alumni who are working in the industries right now, they have got to step forward for this one. Atmik Rathod, does finally a project matter in an interview? What if we don't have impressive? Yes, Atmik, it does matter. Final year projects, like I told you, right? I mean, your CGPAs, a lot of people are scoring 8+ CGPAs in GTU right now, right? I mean, your last 4 semesters, you get over 8. So there are like hundreds of people. If you're talking about a class of 120, there might be 20 different people or 30 different people in GEC Bhavnagar in one particular year who has over 8 GPA. So the things that would differentiate you from others would be things like impressive final year project or an internship that you did that others didn't do. This will take you to the top 5 in the class, basically. So yeah, it is very important because they will ask you this question like, what did you do in the final year project? And I know it's very easier to not do anything, and yeah, because that's what I did as well, and it was a mistake back then. But yeah, work hard in your last year, because last year you don't have that many courses anyway, 4 or 5 courses. Last year still they don't, you know how to get good marks in GTU. You're used to it by 7 semesters. So getting a marks is not going to be tough. So focus all your energy in the last year and getting an impressive project or going to that internship. So project and internship, they go hand in hand. I don't know if you're in hard branch. So what we did was after 7th semester, like during 7th semester itself, we're applying or sending emails to different companies that we want to work on a final year project of something like this kind of a subject. Can we come there to do an internship or something for 1 month? Or some companies will love you for a longer period of time, 3-4 months. Some companies will say, okay, no, come for 2 weeks or whatever, or 1 month. So you really have to try and maximize that. But yeah, start looking for project and internship while you're in 6th semester or 7th semester, because it takes time. It takes 4, 5, up to 6 months to get all the approvals in place. You got to get approval from the university as well that they have agreed to you, so the college will also approve, etc., etc. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess if anyone has any more questions, I'll still be online for a minute. Otherwise, I'll yeah. Yeah, while anyone is typing question, I mean, I would like to give kudos to Himadri and his team, Komal and all. I mean, you guys are doing a fabulous job. I mean, it takes courage to do this, to be honest, because everybody is pretty busy in their lives, and you're going above and beyond for the college. So this is really good. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people step forward and giving their time, but you guys are the real heroes here because you guys thought about this and you guys are still doing a lot of work, and I really appreciate it. I mean, all the students will as well. Pretty sure they do. So good job on that. Anyone else, Jay, or anyone in the comment section, anyone who watches the video after I've been aired, if you want any advice, I'll try to give my best advice. I'm not saying what I did or what answers I have are the best answers, but I mean, I'll try to help you out. Try and reach me on LinkedIn. It's the same name, Swapnil Hirani. Check my profile and see like what, yeah, see what I've done on LinkedIn. Try to implement some of those things. You can even do something better than me. I mean, we never know, right? So yeah, get in touch. That's pretty much it. Okay, I guess that's it then. Thank you, Atmik. Thank you, HDB Baria. No problem. Thank you for that.